Students, now let us discuss the advantages of these cooperative societies. As we all know, that membership of a cooperative society is purely open to all. So no one can compel anyone to become the member of this society, or no one can compel anyone to leave the society also. The membership fee is also kept at minimum. Then any member who wants to leave the society also, he is free to move away from this society. So there is no entry or exit barrier in this type of business organization. Next one is easy formation. Cooperatives are easily formed whenever there are 25 persons are grouped together to start a cooperative societies. Means they have to do some legal procedures, and they can easily form the cooperative society without any much lengthy rules and regulations and other things when compared to a company. So any person, those who have attained majority, can join together, can form a cooperative society like this. Then democracy. A cooperative society is run on the basic principle of one man, one vote, which implies that the democracy is followed thoroughly in this cooperative societies. So, which means that all are having equal rights. That is, one man, one vote is followed here. And members, those who are with the money power or those who are the richest persons, cannot dominate here by buying most of the shares in the cooperative society. Whereas in the joint stock company, they can do like that, because if a person is the richest person, means he can buy more and more shares, then he will have automatically the control over others. That will not be possible in these cooperative societies. Then equal distribution of surplus. See, the main objective of these cooperative societies is serve the downtrodden people or small income group people. So if any surplus is realized, that is, any profit, a meager amount of profit is realized, then it will be distributed among the members equally. So another one point is there, and some amount is 1/4 of the surplus is kept as a reserve for the further years, and the sum not exceeding 10% of the amount is spent on for the welfare of the society, also for buying the necessary that is equipments for the society, or improving the infrastructure. This 10% is also used, which is benefited by all the members of the society. Then limited liability, which is a very, very greatest advantage of this cooperative societies. The liability of the members is limited to the extent of their capital contribution. So they need not pay out of their personal properties or assets to pay off the debtors. So if they have contributed, say 5,000 rupees, means the loss will be to the extent of that 5,000 rupees alone. Next one is separate legal entity. So it is as a perpetual succession. If any member has withdrawn from this cooperative society, or any member has died, or any member has become insolvent, no problem. The cooperative society will continue its operations. So it has a separate legal entity. It enjoys perpetual existence. The next advantage is each for all and all for each. Cooperative societies are formed on the basis of self-help and mutual help. So the members contribute their efforts to promote their common welfare. Next one is greater identity of interest. See, the people belong to one particular village or one particular area will form a cooperative society as usual. So their problems will be same, their interest will be same. For example, if the weavers of a particular region are forming a cooperative societies, means say if they have some problem of getting the raw materials, means all will be motivated to solve that problem and other things. They can cooperate and manage the activities and of the society in a more effective manner. Then government support. Nowadays, government is supporting to the greater extent to these cooperative societies to improve the downtrodden people from their poverty and other things. So they provide so many loans and at the cheap rates and provide so many subsidies, etc. Elimination of middlemen. See, these members all are equal and all will be doing all the activities of the cooperative societies. So they are not forced to that is rely upon any middleman or any other person. So they can directly deal with the producers and with the ultimate customers. So as there is no middleman, the profits is profit ratio will also get increased. Then tax concessions. To promote the cooperative movement, the government is also provides so many tax considerations to these cooperative societies, which in turn which in turn encourages its operations in all respects. Then rural credit. See, the cooperative societies, see, when it is established well, they could able to lend some loans also to the general public and also to its members at a very moderate or very lower interest rate. So which benefits the village people also from the hands of the cruel money lenders. In those days, as we all know, children, these villages were affected in a terrible way by the cruelty of these money lenders, by those who are charging very, very high interest rate. But whereas if they get a loan at a cheaper rate from these cooperative societies, they can be that is, they can have that freedom to repay the money at their convenience. If any natural calamities had happened, means the government may waive the loans also without payment and other things. So this rural credit is the major or very great advantage of these cooperative societies.